Hi guys, I'm Shmee. Hello and welcome back to the channel where today is a very exciting day, something I've been looking forward to for quite some time. Not only is the Shmuseum cleaner, tidier and more organised than ever before, but it's also the first time that we have the entire lineup of the current Shmeemobiles all in the same place simultaneously. This has taken a fair bit of planning. In recent years, I've had cars off on different continents, in Europe, in the Middle East, in the United States, but at this moment in time, every car is right here. And in fact, it's not going to be the case for long, because very soon there are going to be some new arrivals, maybe including in different places, a lot of which I want to update you on today. But as we haven't had a Building My Dream Garage episode for a short while, there have been a few changes to run through, because of course a collection of the cars, of the garage, of everything within the garage is something that's so unique to each and every person. This is what I feel is my personality, colourful, characterful, fun, all in one place. And today I want to run through a few things about the garage, about some of the cars, and what it feels like to have everything here together in a completely surreal moment. Every car collection is unique, and one of the things I really enjoy having here, even though it makes no sense to a lot of people, is the replica of the first car I had when I was a 17-year-old, a 1.2 litre Clio Dynamique. Of course, down below it is its flagship sibling, the Clio V6. And everything here is kind of in pairs at the moment. We've lined it all up. We've got the Renaults, we've got the manual sports cars with the 1M over the Emira, we've got the Astons with the V8 Vantage Roadster over the GT8. We've then got a pair of Fords on the separate Benpack auto stackers at the moment, the Focus RS Heritage and the GT500. Then, okay, it slightly goes wrong just for the moment with the SLS Black Series and the 675 LT Spider. The F1 show car is lurking over there in the Halo Bay. We've then got the Transit Custom MSRT, which is our team van that we've been running for the long term here. Of course, the Zenvo TSRS, the Ford GT, the SF90 Stradale, the AMG GT Black Series and the STO. It is an explosion of colour, but it fits so well in my eyes with everything else that's around. Yes, there's a lot going on with the painted floor that was done by Cure Coatings, but over here it's the Gaines chill out corner, if you will. We've got the arcade machines that are all turned on at the moment. We've got the basketball hoops. We've got the Carrera slot car track. We've got the cabinets filled with all of the different Lego cars. Then on the wall, we now have the very bright edition with many of my Maxi Swatch watches. These are over 2 meters tall, adding even more colour, brightness and craziness here to the garage. We're going to have a seating area over here, and if we come back through over this way, even more things lurking and waiting for us, tucked in by the Heritage gas pumps, even having the empty oil cans, even having all of the tyres just to give a bit more of that motorsport feel. We've got the electric go-kart, the electric bike, we've got the scooter, all of the different things that are part of the personality of a collection. That's why I find it fascinating checking out on exclusive Car Registry, ECR, all of the different garages and collections that are on there. Of course, adding my cars to the page as well. You'll notice the cars that are here in storage at the moment are actually currently outside just while we do lots of photos and things. In fact, my friend Nick, NWVT, is here shooting the garage today, which is why we've gone so far to clean and tidy it all up and get it all ready. Touching on ECR, I am sure you've heard me mention exclusive Car Registry before, because if you're like me and you love these things, exclusive, rare, limited edition supercars, it is fascinating to find out more about them, to see where the cars are in the world, to see the different specifications. And now with collections as well, not only can you see the cars that, for example, I've uploaded of the Shmeemobiles, like the Zenvo TSRS, the Ford GT, the Black Series, we've got the GT8, the 675, for example, but also even more about the collections, the other cars that might not be individually listed, the memorabilia, the garages, the spaces, plus being verified as the collector to share all of that makes it even better. One of the things I love is that you can even mark the cars you've actually seen. So for example, if you're at the Goodwood Festival of Speed and you saw these two, you can actually go on and mark that you saw them there as well. It's really quite interesting. So if you haven't checked out exclusive Car Registry, you should definitely head over and take a look to dive into even more information about some of the cars that I actually have here at my own garage. A quick thing with the GT Black Series. Now, as you guys know, this car has been to the Middle East, it's been to America, it's been to Romania, it's done a whole lot of miles, and the journey hasn't finished there. And along the way, I've been accruing some pretty cool stickers. In fact, some really cool people that I've met up with and filmed videos with along the way. Hamilton Collection, Whistling Diesel, Chris Fix, been to film with all of the Car Trek guys. We've been to loads of track days, Yas Marina. We've got Donington Park here in the UK. Now this was actually the entry ticket to the Dubai Autodrome, to an event with Supercars Majlis. But it's a bit strange because obviously it is the brand, and I've decided to change that and swap it out. So we have a Dubai travel ticket, basically, given this car has been around the world. So this is gonna go, I think, in here, right next to the shipping label, which was for taking it out to the US, that one. I've also got a sticker from Spa-Francorchamps, given I recently took the car and did some laps at the 24-hour race over there, which was super fun to have this leading the parade effectively. So that goes in, and we've got to add a Shmoo sticker. Now we've got Shmoo stickers and other merch in the Cheers by Shmee150 shop. We will have a restock of Shmoos as well soon, and I'm going to let you guys know when that's coming. Shmoo is going to tuck in down here next to Car Trek. That'll be his home. And also recently the guys from 1320 Video came to visit, but I don't have an easy spot to put that because it's a little bit big at the moment. So maybe that's one to work out a little bit down the line. But I needed to be doing that update for a long time now. It's super fun just to have the memories of where this car has been, and I'm sure there are going to be plenty more in the future as well. Love representing all the cool people out there on the car. I can also now reveal the number plates that are going to be going on the BMW 1M. Now in all of the videos since reveal, it's been wearing its completely standard plate, and a lot of you have been asking me, what's actually going on it? Is it going to be a Shmee plate? And I think this might be a little bit of a surprise. Now that is the completely standard DVLA, the UK government normal issue registration. It's quite complicated here in the UK because that system's been around for about 2 decades, but before that it was very different, and there are all sorts of different rules as to what you can and can't do. You can't just pick any assortment of characters and roll with it. But for this car, I'm continuing something that I began with the Clio V6, and the reason that I chose V6 FTA. Now, my original Clio that I had as a 17-year-old wore that plate. It wasn't the standard issue plate, but that's what I had on it. It represents September the 17th, which is my birthday, and my initials. It had a default standard plate, which was LR05 FTA. So with the Clio V6, the fairly obvious nod of the engine designation, the V6 engine you have in the back, and the FTA lettering. So you can probably see, given that the 1M is the follow-up to the second car I owned here in the UK, which was my 123D SE Coupe, that this is going to have a similar nod. And in fact, that's what we've got. L6, the line 6 or straight 6 engine, NKN were the last letters of my original car. L6 or S6 depends on the different region, what different people call it, but that felt like a very suitable nod. So at some point in the not too distant future, that will be being transferred onto that car, and you'll start to see it being worn on it going forwards. I also want to touch on the video I made recently about the values of the former Shmeemobiles, where I was talking about the cars, what I had bought them for, what I had sold them for, and what they would be worth if I still owned them. Now, of course, that didn't take into account financing, insurance, maintenance, running costs, fuel, you name it, nor of course did it take into account the business element of each of the different cars. It was purely focused on the values. Now, one thing to note about that is that very few of the cars had actually appreciated in value. And this is where I think it's quite interesting, because the cars that seem to have appreciated in value that I've bought, I seem to still own. SLS Black Series, worth a significant sum more than I bought it for. GT500, I think, is worth more than I bought it for as well, as it happens. Focus RS Heritage Edition is probably worth nearly double. Of course, some have gone down. The LT, the GT8, the Vantage Roadster is probably worth exactly what I bought it for. The Clio V6 is certainly worth a little bit more. Over on this side, harder to tell. The STO is probably roughly list price. The GT Black Series, considering the mileage, will be probably just under. The SF90s take a big dive here. The Ford GT, even with so many miles, is probably worth a little over. The Zenvo is a whole different topic. All I'm going to say on the topic of the Zenvo, given a lot of people asked, is there are reasons that I decided to purchase a Zenvo that you don't yet necessarily know. There are things I've known about the future of the company, which you're going to find out very soon, and mark my words, it is super, super exciting. That's probably all I'm allowed to say on the topic for right now, but in general terms, I think the garage as you see it here is actually up, not down. I'd love to sit down and actually calculate that. In fact, I'm certain it is. If we ignore the Zenvo for a moment because we don't have a clue because it's such a rare, unusual thing, the rest will be significantly further up than down. So I can actually be quite pleased with myself when it comes to that one and getting values fairly accurate. Although obviously time and what happens in the world of limited cars anyway remains to be seen. We'll just have to find out when it does. For the episodes on building my dream garage, the next stages will be to do the bathrooms and a couple of other things like that. So we'll probably make some progress maybe a little bit later in the year, but there hasn't really been anything by way of a big update recently because the focus has kind of been, while I've been traveling, on getting everything neat, tidy, and finished. And the view from here, this view right now, this was literally the dream. It's hard to put this into words. It is totally surreal to me. And obviously the way we've got everything set out right now is to do photos, to have the colors completely all over the place. We're going to be shuffling some things around to get some more shots as well. It's an explosion of color. The banners that are around, the cars themselves, the floor, obviously the walls are going to have a few changes. We're going to have a workshop area as well set up where the pink van is right now. But this is just, it's unbelievable. I often stand here and I just don't know what to actually say. Now, if we come in here into the office room very quickly, over on the back shelf, I have been adding more of the model cars. This actually throws us right back to the original Clio, my 1 Series, obviously going through many different cars, all the way through lower down to some of the more recent additions. In fact, I bought my E500 Estate before I bought the Zenvo, which is kind of funny, I guess, when you look at it like that. This is also quite a special box, not one I'm going to talk too much about right now. Some of you might know exactly what that's to do with. The others will probably have to wait. We move to what cars are coming next. And this is why it's quite so unusual to have everything here simultaneously. It might sound like that should be fairly easy, but considering I've had, for example, the AMG GT Black Series in the Middle East for about 6 months, in America, including shipping, for nearly a year. The GT500 was, of course, in the US for about 2 years before I imported it here to the United Kingdom. Then you always have cars that are at dealerships, whether it's for a service, whether it's a part that's on serious back order. We had some major engine work at Avant-Garde for the SLS Black Series. The Zenvo has spent a bit of time, of course, at the factory, just checking over, making sure everything is running perfectly, which is why now it's ready for what's coming next. Wait for that in a moment. But basically, to pull everything together in one place has been more complicated than you might think. To make sure that nothing is absent this weekend, right now, to be able to shoot it all, to take some photos of the full garage, has taken a bit of work, and it's not going to happen again for a while, because next up, the next car to be produced at least, is going to be the follow-on to the Mustang, the new Mustang Dark Horse in the United States. Now, I'm about to be heading out for Car Week, and I think the car is just going to miss that trip. I think it's going to be a week or two after, which means it will have to hang tight until I can next make it back out to America, which is probably going to be a little bit later in the year. We will have to see exactly how that's going to fall. But because of that, and the intention to keep it in America for a couple of years, probably throughout my ownership of the car, I don't intend at this stage to bring that particular car here to England. We'll see what the future holds. It means this won't be able to happen again. After that, though, there are a few other cars I've mentioned. I've mentioned the Purosangue, the 296 GTS, and the Roma Spider. Very Ferrari heavy, I know. I do seem to have a bit of a thing for Ferraris at the moment. The first of those to arrive will be the 296 GTS, and it's not very far away. That's probably going to be here, I'm going to guess, about 2 months. We'll see exactly how long that takes. Then after that will be the Purosangue, which at the moment may be the end of the year. We're going to have to see. I don't have a final slot or confirmation of that yet. Roma Spider will be into next year. But there are some other things. So the 296 is only maybe 2 months away. The Dark Horse is maybe less than a month, but potentially 2 or 3 months away. There are 2 other things. That's all I'm going to tell you now. 2 other cars that are going to be arriving here within the next 2 or 3 months as well. That's going to be a very full, very intense couple of months, and you can see why I recently cleared out some space. And then after that, I need to scratch my head a little bit, because after those 4, plus the 2 I haven't necessarily told you about yet, there are actually, I think, 5 more Shmeemobiles on order at the moment, which is going to be a little bit crazy. But they're going to make for some amazing journeys and some amazing videos to share with you guys. I just can't or don't want to jump the gun, let's say, and get too far ahead of myself until I know a little bit more than I do right now. But fundamentally, cars will be all over the place. So it won't be possible to do this, to have the full setup, to have the full lineup. Now, it's not only the full lineup, but you might be able to tell every single car has been cleaned and tidied, which is actually more of a challenge than you might think, because even just driving cars in and out is almost an impossibility to stop dust floating around. I mean, while we have some mats that I just bought online to try and some carpets just to get some of the dirt off tires as you drive into the garage, obviously they bring in dust, they bring in dirt. We've got various different workshop things happening here, which obviously introduced that as well. So it's very hard to keep everything looking completely spick and span. We do the best job we can, but also just to have everything else plugged in, everything running. And I think that's a big part of a collection. And this is why ECR is so fascinating, especially with owners now being verified and being able to share the information that they would like to share about their cars, about their garages, is that you can have things like all of the heritage gas pumps, the arcade machines, the swatches, the Lego, the slot cars, the other scooters and toys and different things that you can have around the garage, which are all part of it. And for me, it's about color, it's about vibrance, it's about energy, it's about passion for cars, it's about driving cars, it's about using cars. This is not a museum, literally. This is my collection of cars that you see through the videos. This is just where they're all housed. This is where we have our offices to be able to be sat up there, looking out over everything. It's a dream come true. It's an absolute dream come true. And I can't believe, even thinking back 3.5 years to January 2020, when I pulled together the 10 cars at the time, a month before I had bought the SLS Black Series, how surreal it felt then. Of course, some of the cars have been around since and are still here. The GT8, the Heritage RS, the 675 LT, was the Ford GT? Yes, the Ford GT was part of that as well. So I guess it's probably those 4 that were here. I think maybe, just questioning myself if I've missed anything. But I suspect we're going to be seeing a lot of the cars that are here now in the collection for the long term. So I don't know what the next time everything will come together will be, whether it will be in a year, in 2 years, in 3 years, in 5 years. But it would be quite fun to see how many of these are still around when that day arrives. We're going to have a bit of a shuffle around, so currently popping up some of the lifts, the Benpack Auto Stacker A6Ws, which always looks amazing to see them on the move. Of course, we've timed this just because it's quite special, but what we're going to do is pull in the STO, the GT Black Series, the SF90, and I think the Zenvo to be beneath the lifts to have a full stack alongside the storage side of the wall here. We will probably actually swap some cars around and figure out the perfect way to do this. Small change of plan, GT500 back down, because we're gonna shuffle this, sounds amazing, underneath the Ford Focus RS, because then we have the pair of Renaults, the pair of manual sports cars, the pair of Astons, the pair of Fords, then we'll have the pair of Italians with the STO above the SF90, the pair of Mercedes with the SLS above the GT, and the pair of purples with the LT above the Zenvo. So that is the current game plan. We'll slide this in under the Focus RS and get some shuffling going on. Next up, STO. Let's take a listen to the V10. Oh yeah, okay, I know we're doing a lot of shuffling right now, moving the cars around, but when you see the stackers fully loaded, it's well worth it. This is going to be such a cool set of photos. The cold start of that thing is absurd. It is always absurd. Right, I should probably help line it up and get it on the lift properly. The SF90 is now underneath. Didn't record that. It was an e-drive, of course. GT Black Series is up next though. That sounded good. There's a reason I love this car. So this is going to go underneath the SLS, and the colours we're setting up with this are absolutely on point. The last one to go beneath the lift, we have the Zenvo, of course. Sound of power. So we'll see if we can do the turn here before that vulnerable pillar. Always very careful of this. I think it should be fine. Brad is obviously doing the car moving today, but this is going to be completely fine. This is going to get around and we'll be able to line it up properly. And the Zenvo is tucked in, which means, look at that view. Is that not the coolest? The Benpack Auto Stacker A6Ws, 14 Shmeemobiles stacked up across the 2 rows. And of course, we're going to have to go upstairs and get the view of that as well. Wow. Before we go upstairs, in the lounge, there are a couple of things I'd like to show you, including these signs that I bought probably nearly 2 years ago and haven't done anything with them yet. But obviously we have racing venues like the Nürburgring, Kota, Spa-Francorchamps, Silverstone, Monza, all in the different countries, formats, Portimao, Le Mans, Circuit de Catalunya, the Red Bull Ring and the Hungaroring, all amazing racing venues that I've been to around the world. And I had an idea with these to basically put them on this section of wall, because then they're kind of pointing towards the door, pointing on the way out, and that's the right direction to go. So probably I'm going to try and put them all up there. Another thing to show you are these boxes. I haven't opened these boxes for a very long time, but I'm sure many of you will know what is contained within. This is the YouTube play button for 1 million subscribers. This is actually the newer style. So my channel hit 1 million subscribers when it was still the old style plaque, and I have that at home, but they let you order the updates if you wish. So that is 1 million for Shmee150. And then just to pop that down here, these are all of the other channels. I'm not going to go through all of them, but that's Shmeebites, for example, our shorts channel. Then this one must be, if we just have a look underneath, this one must be, yep, the Shmuseum. So eventually I've got to work out where these are going to go, because obviously I'd love to have them on the wall. Maybe the place to do that is going to be behind me over here, perhaps up on this wall by the bar area where we've got some books and different things. That could be the fun idea, or plan with that one. Well, the other side of the garage is now looking very strange because the Ford GT is tucked down there for a moment. We're about to take some other photos, but the view of the auto stackers from here is awesome. Look at that. How cool is that? The purples, the Mercs, the Italians, the Fords, the Astons, the manuals, and the Renaults towards the far end. I guess Ford is the #1 car in here, 4 different Fords. The Transit, the Ford GT, the Mustang, and the Focus. Hot hatch, muscle car, van, and supercar, all wearing the blue oval at the front, which is pretty cool. Then we've got what? A pair of Mercedes, a pair of Astons, a pair of Renaults, and then it's one of all the others. 1 McLaren, 1 Zenvo, 1 Lambo, 1 Ferrari, 1 BMW, 1 Lotus, and you could say 1 Williams tucked in down there as well. But of course, the Ferrari count is soon to increase. I've just sold the C63 Black Series and the GTC4 Lusso, but the Puro Sangue is inbound, as are the 296 and the Roma Spider. It is totally crazy, even seeing it like this. The car's stacked up there, and then the complete emptiness. So in answer to any questions about the future, I think we're going to be okay for a while. I don't really have any plans for any more auto stackers, because if you think about this space, we can literally have 6 cars, 2 more tucked there, and you could even technically fit 1 or 2 behind. So using all of that and the space at the end of the lifts, and even putting cars in the middle if you want to. When we had the Lee Collection cars here, it looked really cool with the cars parked literally on the racetrack. So I think it would have to be 8 or 9 more cars, and that doesn't even take into account the cars that normally would be living at home, like the Focus RS and the Emira are my kind of running backwards and forwards cars normally these days, and the cars that would be out on other continents, in other countries, at service, having work done at different events, whatever it might be. So future-proof, nothing to worry about for now. In terms of the cars, I'm sure 1 or 2 eventually will depart, but basically speaking, this is mostly the permanent collection. That's my kind of focus, if you will, in terms of the collection, in terms of what grows over time. Obviously, some of the cars on order will be for the short term, some will be for the long term, bit of a variety, bit of a switch around. But today's been pretty cool, hasn't it? And I can't wait to upload all of these pictures we've just taken to the Shmeemobiles collection on exclusive Car Registry. So go check it out if you haven't already to see more of all of this and some of the shots and things from today. Wow, I'm exhausted. And we've still got to put everything back a little bit later on. But before that, we're going to shoot some more pictures. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you again so much for all of your support over the years. Without you guys, this wouldn't be possible. And I appreciate it more than you could possibly imagine. But that's it for this time. I might just sit here and look at this for a while because it's a dream. I need a pinch. I need to wake up because how is that reality? Anyway, thank you guys. Thank you very much. And I'll see you really soon. Cheers.